6 months ago, generating a single usable video clip from AI took 20 attempts and still looked like a fever dream. Last week, I typed one sentence into Google Veo 3, hit generate, and got back a 10-second clip with synchronized footsteps, ambient room tone, and a camera push that would have taken a crew half a day to set up. The gap between AI video as a novelty and AI video as a production tool just closed. Today I am walking you through exactly how to use Veo 3 to create polished short videos, and then showing you where it actually beats Runway and Sora, and where it still falls short. For the past 2 years, AI video generation has been stuck in demo mode. The clips looked impressive in controlled showcases, but fell apart the moment you tried to use them in a real project. Motion would drift, objects would warp, characters would lose their faces mid-shot, and audio was completely separate, meaning you had to layer in sound design manually and hope the timing matched. Veo 3 changes the equation because it generates audio-aware output natively. The system understands that footsteps should sync with walking, that doors should creak when they open, that ambient sound should match the environment. This single feature cuts post-production time dramatically. But more importantly, it makes AI video feel intentional rather than accidental. If you create content professionally, whether that is YouTube videos, client ads, product demos, or educational material, you now have a tool that can produce B-roll, concept footage, and establishing shots at a speed that was impossible 6 months ago. Let me break down exactly how to structure prompts that actually work. Most people fail with AI video because they write prompts like they are texting a friend. Something vague like a cool sunset scene with a car. That gives the model too many decisions to make, and it will fill in the blanks unpredictably. Instead, build your prompts with 6 specific components. First, define your subject with physical detail. Not just a woman, but a woman in her 30s with short dark hair wearing a gray wool coat. Second, specify camera motion explicitly. Slow tracking shot moving left to right, or static wide angle, or handheld follow from behind. Third, describe lighting conditions. Overcast daylight with soft shadows or harsh overhead fluorescent or golden hour backlight. Fourth, establish style reference, cinematic with shallow depth of field or documentary realism or stylized animation. Fifth, indicate pacing, fast cuts between angles or a single unbroken take or gradual zoom over 8 seconds. Sixth, and this is new with Veo 3, include sound cues. Footsteps on wet pavement, distant traffic, wind through trees, muffled conversation in the background. When you layer all 6 elements, you are not asking the AI to guess. You are giving it constraints that channel its output towards something usable. Here's a real example I used last week. A woman in her 30s, with short dark hair, wearing a gray wool coat, walks through a rainy city street at dusk. Slow tracking shot moving left to right. Shallow depth of field with neon signs blurred in background. Soft ambient light from storefronts. Steady walking pace. Sound of rain on pavement. Distant car passing, her heels clicking on concrete. That prompt gave me 3 out of 4 usable clips on the first batch. Compare that to a vague prompt, which might give you 0 usable clips out of 8 attempts. Now let me walk through an actual creator workflow from prompt to published video. Start by drafting 5 to 8 prompt variations before you generate anything. You want options because even good prompts produce variable results. Generate your first batch, which in Veo 3 typically means 4 clips per prompt. Review them at full resolution, not just thumbnails. Look specifically for motion consistency, whether objects maintain their shape throughout the clip, whether the camera move is smooth or jittery, and whether the audio actually matches the visuals. Select your top 2 clips per batch, then iterate. Adjust the prompt based on what worked and what failed. If the lighting was too flat, specify more dramatic shadows. If the motion was too fast, add terms like slow and deliberate. After 2 or 3 iteration rounds, you should have 6 to 10 strong clips. Now bring them into your editor. Timeline these clips as you would stock footage. Add cuts, layer in your voiceover or music, adjust audio levels on the AI-generated sound. The key insight here is that AI video works best as a component, not as a finished product. You are generating raw material that you then shape through traditional editing. For a 6 to 10 minute video, I typically use AI footage for establishing shots, B-roll sequences, and visual metaphors. The talking head content, if any, stays live capture. The AI footage handles everything that would otherwise require stock purchases or location shooting. So how does Veo 3 actually compare to Runway and OpenAI Sora? Let me give you the honest breakdown across 4 dimensions. Quality. Veo 3 currently produces the most consistent motion and the best native audio integration. Runway Gen 3 is close on visual fidelity but requires separate audio work. Sora produces stunning individual frames but still struggles with temporal consistency over longer clips. Speed. Runway is fastest for quick iterations, usually under a minute per clip. Veo 3 runs slightly slower, but the audio-aware processing justifies the wait. Sora, in its current limited access state, has inconsistent generation times. Usability. Runway has the most polished interface for professional workflows. Veo 3 through Google AI Studio is functional but less refined. Sora remains the most restricted in terms of access and export options. Cost and value. This is where it gets complicated. Runway charges per second of generated video, which adds up fast for high-volume creators. Veo 3 pricing is still evolving, but currently offers more generation capacity for comparable spend. Sora remains limited to ChatGPT Plus subscribers, with usage caps that make it impractical for production work. My recommendation: use Veo 3 as your primary generation tool for any project where audio sync matters. Use Runway for rapid visual prototyping when you do not need native sound. Use Sora for experimental creative work where you want its specific aesthetic but do not need volume or consistency. Here is where AI video actually makes sense right now. Product demos where you need angles or environments you cannot easily shoot. Social ads where speed matters more than perfect fidelity. Concept trailers to pitch ideas before committing to full production. Educational explainers where visual metaphors enhance understanding. B-roll to fill gaps without expensive stock licensing. But you need to know the failure modes. Watch for warped hands and fingers, which remain the most common artifact. Watch for unstable objects that drift or deform. Watch for overcomplicated scenes where too many moving elements cause the model to lose coherence. Watch for audio that technically syncs but sounds artificial or mismatched in tone. Before using any AI clip, run through a simple checklist. Does motion stay consistent from first frame to last? Do objects maintain their shape and position? Does the audio feel natural or synthetic? Would a viewer notice this is AI generated in a way that distracts from the content? If you answer no to any of these, consider stock footage or live capture instead. For publishing on YouTube, frame your thumbnails from the most visually striking frame of your AI footage. Design hooks that show the capability immediately rather than explaining it. And disclose AI-generated visuals when they could be mistaken for real events or real people. YouTube's policies and audience expectations both favor transparency here. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for more practical AI workflow content. I cover these tools as they evolve, not just when they launch. Drop a comment telling me what type of content you're trying to create with AI video. Product content, educational material, creative projects, something else entirely. I read every comment and use them to shape future videos. Thanks for watching.